So hello everyone, my name is Becky with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we are going to be doing our database overview. So we are going to be looking through the command database, how to import contacts, how to export contacts, how to create new contacts, and we're just going to be looking at that. Um, if you have any questions as we go through, please go ahead and drop those in the chat as we go through. I'll do my best to get those answered in real time. I may, for the sake of timing, just save those for the very end. It depends on how in-depth the question is, if it's something I can answer quickly in the moment or not. But I will definitely save some time at the end. We will get to those questions. I'll definitely make sure I go through the chat at the very end, make sure I get all of them. So if you have questions as we go through, please drop those in the chat and I will get those answered for you for sure. Um, if you are watching this back on recording, you can always reach out to us with any questions you have via email. That email is support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'm going to go ahead and drop that email in the chat for everyone here as well. Again, you can also always email us, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Today's class recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel within about 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and actually pull that up real quick. So when you are looking at our YouTube channel, we do always recommend that you look for the most recent videos. Things are always changing, both with command and the services that we offer here at Scott Leroy Marketing. And so we do always put out updated videos all the time, both classes and tip videos. So we do just always recommend looking for those most recent videos. The best way to do that is to use the videos tab right here. The most recent video will be at the very top and they'll be in reverse chronological order. So they'll get older as you scroll down, but you'll see all of those new videos up at the very top. If you are searching, for example, we'll go with today's class. Let's search that as an example. When you search, it does not always pull them in order. Sometimes it pulls them out of order and it will pull, the one from 2 years ago up at the very top. There should be one from a couple of weeks ago or a month ago right there. So you'll see there, we just had to scroll down a bit and then we found it. You may just have to look through those to make sure that you have the most recent video. If you are not sure if you have the most recent video or the video you have is the most recent one you could find, but for some reason that looks out of date, you can always email us. Again, that email is support@scottleroymarketing.com. We'd be happy to help provide updated instructions or an updated video for you. So without any further ado, we are going to go ahead and we are going to jump into today's class. So the first thing we want to do is we want to sign into command, which is agent.kw.com. We're signed in here with our KW login credentials. So the first thing we want to go to is our contacts applet. If you're not familiar with the applets, which is this menu on the left-hand side, you can always click this red square with the white KW in it, and it will expand that whole menu so you can see that whole thing, all of the different applets there. We're going to go to the contacts applet today. It's the square with the person inside of it. Give that a second to load here. So we are going to do a quick overview of what you'll see here, and then we'll jump into how to import contacts and things like that. So a quick overview of what you're seeing. You will see all of your contacts down through here. So if they are filtered, you'll see that applied there. So we do currently have a filter on here, and we have what's called a smart view, which we'll get into that in just a second. But you can always search through your contacts. You can search by name, first name, email address, phone number. You can filter all or just one of those. So you can go search by that and it'll pull up the contacts through here. You can filter your searches. So we can filter, and there's a bunch of different filter options. I think this is one of the best features in Command is that they have so many filters for everything. So especially the contacts, you can go in, you can filter by pretty much anything, any field on a contact. So the contact type, contact tags, you can filter by multiple tags at once. You can filter by lead source, the agent site connection. Agent site connection just means that they have connected to your site. They've created an account on your KW agent site. Neighborhoods, if they have neighborhoods set up, you can search by specific neighborhoods or any neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. So there's a bunch of different filter options through there. There's also advanced filtering options that you can look at, and that's going to allow you to For example, we'll say you want contacts that include this tag, but maybe that of the contacts that include this tag, you want to exclude all of them that have, I'm seeing this tag right here, testing 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll say add a filter. And we're going to say where tags, we'll go down to our tags again. And we'll say it excludes any or excludes all. And I'll say excludes any. And then we'll go grab that tag that we were looking at here. So we'll go testing 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we'll apply it and we'll see any contacts that had that additional testing 1, 2, 3 tag are now removed from our list. So you can go in and you can filter them. There's a bunch of options when it comes to advanced filtering. Then you can remove them if you want. You can reset those or switch back to basic filters. So there's some options all through there. Again, filtering makes it a lot easier for you to find specific contacts that you are looking for. Next thing we have here is our smart views. And a smart view is basically just like a saved view that you can go find the same contacts or the same view over and over again. So for example, we currently have a smart view, which is class demo, and this one filters by our contact tag that we have, class demo. So anytime we sign into command, we have this set as our default smart view. And so it's automatically going to just pull up all of the contacts with that tag. You will generally just have all contacts as your default view there. So it won't necessarily all have that tag through there. You can switch between different smart views. Again, you can set them as default if you click manage smart views. So you can set it as default. And that just allows you to view the same thing multiple times without having to go reapply the filters every time you sign into command or things like that. So that's a really helpful tool that you have right there. Next, you're going to see these 3 dots right here, and you'll be able to check for duplicates. We're going to actually walk through all of these that you're seeing up in this top corner in a minute, exporting contacts, importing, creating contacts in just a second. So I'm going to skip over that for right this second. And then we also have all of these columns here. So we can drag and drop them around. Again, we can save these in our smart view. So maybe we want the primary email up at the top for some specific project we're working on. We can drag that email all the way up to the top, save the changes to our smart view, and it's going to pull up in this same order every time. We can also click this columns with the settings cogwheel button up here, and we can choose what ones are toggled on. And then we can also drag and drop those around if we'd like. So again, we can just move those around, play around with what works for us. Once we make those changes, if you want to keep viewing those same changes, you'll want to save those changes to your smart view, whether you're in the all contacts smart view or the class or your own additional smart view that you've created. Either way, you'll want to go ahead and save that smart view if you want those changes to stick. Same happens with if you're sorting contacts by first name, last name. If you change that and you want it to stick, you'll just want to click that Save Changes button, and it will apply it every time you sign in there. Alrighty, so we did a quick overview of that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at importing contacts next. So we'll just click this button right here, top right corner that says Import Contacts. And there's 2 different options when it comes to importing contacts. So you can use this template right here, which is what we would recommend. It's a little more work up front, but it's going to be a lot more accurate and a lot simpler in the long run. So if you go with here, download the template, it'll save it to your computer. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a second. You also have the option to upload an individual file right here if you have it. It does have to be in CSV format. CSV is just basically a spreadsheet format. There's different types of spreadsheet formats, but so there's Excel formats or Excel XS, I believe is what it is. And then CSV. CSV stands for comma separated value. And we'll dive into what that means. It'll make more sense when we look at our actual onboarding template here. So we have it downloaded. I'm just going to use this same one I have right here because it's going to be the same thing. I just uploaded it to the drive here, just because this one is going to be a little easier to show y'all through Google Sheets on my end. But you can edit those sheets in whatever your spreadsheet file is, whether you use Excel or you use a different type of platform for that. You can use those. I'm just using Google Sheets. It's a little easier to show y'all than what I have on my computer. So it's going to look like this. These first two right here, you want to make sure you do not adjust those first two rows at all. So those are going to be your column headers. You want to leave them exactly as is, or else it will not import properly. So you just want to make sure you have all of that, leave it as is. Don't edit them, don't move them around, anything like that. Just leave those first two rows, rows 1 and 2, exactly as they are. That'll help you import those properly. And then from there, you have the option to go through and fill out all this information. So your first names, middle name, last name. The only thing required to import a contact is going to be a first name. So you can just enter, if you just know their first name, you can enter it in there. You can enter middle name, last name, and again, nothing else is going to be required other than that first name. If you do not know or remember the first name and you only know the last name, there's options. You can either just add their last name or it as a placeholder in the first name field. What we would tend to do is add the word neighbor. So we would just say neighbor, and then we would enter their last name. That way we know the last name and we can go update that once we remember their name or have it, and we can go update it in our command contacts. So that's how we would recommend doing it, but it's totally up to you, however works for you. Just a first name is required. So we'll go ahead and we'll actually leave neighbor in there and we'll just say demo there. But then we can go in, we'll fill this out. So any of those fields you want to add in. When it comes to birth dates, birthdays, home anniversaries, things like that in any number formats, doesn't actually matter what date format you use. So you can see right here, we have a date with using dashes. If we did the same date, we can use slashes instead, or we can use dots. It doesn't matter what format you add them in. Command will automatically recognize those as date and pull them in properly. It does not matter how you do it on that one. Same with your home anniversary. Your cell phone number is going to be the same thing. You can add that in. You can add that in all one number straight like that. You can add dashes. You can add the parentheses and dash, or you can use dots. It does, again, won't matter. It'll import all the same there. When you are entering in the phone numbers, this is going to be very important. One number does need to be marked as primary. So if you are, and only one can be marked as primary, but one still does need to be marked as primary. So if you enter the cell phone number, it would need to be marked as primary. Home phone, if you enter it in, but it's not your primary number, you would just leave the next field, the next column, sorry, blank. So the columns, you'll just enter Y, capital Y, to mark it as primary, and it'll apply. The same thing will be with email. So when you go over here, you'll see it under emails and addresses down at the very end. It'll be mailing addresses. So you can go in and you can fill that out with all of the information you have for that contact. I'm actually going to delete that number because it will import as a fake number. Hopefully that one won't import as a fake number, but it is a fake number. So maybe it will. We'll see. We'll see if it does. I'll show you. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that one because I can show you what it looks like. When it's very obviously a fake number, it's going to import it probably. There we go. So we'll go ahead and we'll skip that. We don't have an email. We can enter our address through here. One thing you do want to note when you are adding your addresses here is when it comes to the zip code, if the zip code does start with a 0, it's going to usually automatically take that 0 off. So we'll go, for example, that's our zip code, and you'll see it took that 0 off automatically. So you'll just want to change the number format for that row, or that column rather. In Google Sheets, it's pretty easy. You just click these number formats right here. It just says 1, 2, 3. And then you can go down. If you have one already created, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just click custom number format. And you'll enter in as many zeros as you need. So just that, and you can apply it. And then we'll see that number gets added back to it. So Otherwise, it'll automatically drop the 0, and that's not a proper zip code without the 0 on the front of it. So just something to pay attention to there. Again, we marked it as a mailing address, and we'll go over. We can add additional addresses through there if we have those. And then we get to things like our tags, our sources, notes, things like that. This is where that file name or that file type CSV makes sense. It's comma separated values. So if you enter in multiple things into one field, you'll just use commas to separate it. So you'll see right here we have class demo and import with the date, and they're separated by a comma. Those are going to import as separate tags. So if we put it all together, we removed that comma, it would import as all one tag. But if we put commas there, it's going to recognize those as two separate values. So it'll import those properly. So you just want to make sure you separate them with a comma. If you use a dash, it's going to keep it with the dash in it and just call it all one tag. So you just want to make sure you use a comma to separate those individual tags through there. Same with your source and your notes. You can add those in separated by a comma, and it will import them as separate notes. We do always recommend also adding in a tag with the saying import and the date you imported on. The import date tag is going to help. For example, if something were to go wrong with your import, something didn't import properly there, you would be able to then filter by that tag, and you can either remove those contacts, you can archive them and delete them from there, or you can go in and take a look and make sure everything else is looking right. Using that tag is just going to allow you to make sure you have the right thing. You can always add as many tags as you want to your contacts. There's not a limit on it. So it's not going to take up a tag that you can't use later on or something like that. So we'll go ahead and we are going to, from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download this as a CSV file. So on that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click File. I'm going to click Download. I'll go with our comma separated values, and we'll see that right there. Give me just a second. Let me grab that. All right. So then we can go back over to our contacts in command, and we can either click Browse right here, or we can drag and drop a file. Let me bring this over here. So I have multiple screens here, but I'm going to drag and drop this one from here, and it'll upload. It's going to tell us the upload was complete. We can replace the file if we need to, but we can go ahead and click Continue. And then it's going to go ahead and it's going to show us how those pulled over. So we'll see all of it is in the right field here. So everything imported properly, it's in the right fields. Same with this one. And then we can just click Finalize Import. It's going to tell us your contacts are being imported. Depending on the size, it may take a bit. Since we have two, it's not going to take very long. So we'll just click Return to Contacts. It'll give us that same notification up top. We can click Refresh right here, or we can reload the page, either way. Once we do that, we'll give it a second there. You can click this notification bell up at the top, and it's going to tell us whether it was successful or it failed. Even if it only partially failed, I believe only one of them failed. But we'll go look at that in just a second. Next, I want to show you how to use a custom template. So this one is not using the KW template, it's just using your own spreadsheet. So on this, you want to make sure that your first row is your headers. So don't just add in your names here because that's going to mistake them for column headers. So you do need to make sure you have the column headers across the top, just with whatever you're adding. Again, first name is the only required field. But we can go ahead and you can start filling this out. So we can say, and we can add our tags as well. Same thing, you'll want to make sure that they are separated by a comma. And then you can just fill that out. If you have more information, you can fill those out as well. But we're going to go ahead and go with this. We'll just click File, and we're going to go Download. Same thing, we'll save it as a CSV file. Now, give me just a second. There we go. And we'll click Import Contacts. And we'll drag and drop that in there as well. It's going to go ahead and tell us the upload is complete, and we'll just click continue. So you can see on here that it's going to make you go through and map all of the columns. So all of the CSV columns you have with your headers, you're going to need to match it with a command field. So you can go in and you can do it. Now, obviously with this one, we only put 3 columns. So it's going to be a little easier than it otherwise would be. But if you have a lot of columns, then it's going to take a bit of time. And sometimes with your files, they don't always map properly if maybe you have the columns mislabeled or anything like that. So that's why we do recommend using the command import template, but you can still use whatever you have here. So we'll go ahead and we'll map all of these columns here. And then our tags, I'm just going to search for it. There we go. And then we'll say continue. And it's going to show us what it pulled in for each of those fields. Any contacts that you have here, you can flip through and go make sure it pulls all of those in properly. Finalize import. It's going to give us the same thing. I'm just going to refresh that there. And we'll see we have a new notification here, and it tells us that it imported successfully. So you'll see this one was successful, the other one failed, at least partially. So you can go ahead, we can click this download log right here. And it's going to go ahead and give us the fail log here. So let me pull this up real quick. You should be able to see that now. But you can see only it's going to tell us which ones failed. So in this case, only one of them failed. And it's because I used that fake number. I'll tell you right now. So if you scroll all the way over, all the way to the far right, it's going to tell you the error. Phone number must be a valid number. If it's a duplicate number or duplicate email, it will not import. And you'll see that in these fields here. So it'll tell you why it failed. You can download that log there. I'll show you. There we go. You can download the log here, or I'll show you where you can find those later on. And we'll circle back to that in the end because it's more with our settings. So yeah, so that's how you would import those contacts. Next, you want to look at how to add a contact individually. So we'll go ahead and we're going to click create contact. We'll go ahead and enter their full name right here. You can add a relationship to your contact, so you can go in and you can add one to directly link those contacts. There's another field down the bottom where we can add a lot more relationships, but this one's going to be, I guess, more of your primary relationship. So we'll go in, we'll just grab that one so you can see it. We'll have them linked there. You can enter their primary email, phone number. It's going to have a red asterisk by anything that's required, which is just going to be that full name right there or your first name. Again, you just have to have something in that field. You can go through and fill it out. We have our lead source type right here. So a lead source is going to be where that lead came from, whether you received the lead from your website or you were referred by someone else. You would select that from the list. If you were referred by contacts, you can select it from that list and select what contact you were that was pulled from. You can mark them as a lead. Marking it as a lead just means you really haven't had that full conversation with them yet, and they are currently existing as a lead. So you need to have a conversation with them to make them more of a contact than a lead. Again, you can add as many tags as you want right here. We can go in additional contact information. You can add more phone numbers, email addresses, and you can add their addresses as well as links to their social media profiles right here. Under About, you have the options to go add their legal name, description, birthday, home anniversary. We can add those additional relationships right here, and we'll look at what that looks like in just a second. And then we also have the option to come down to custom, and we can create custom fields. So if we click add custom field, we can create our own custom fields. Maybe we do pie giveaways. A lot of agents do that. We can create a custom field. We've already created this field, so we can just select it, and it's going to allow us to enter that information. Or we can go in and we can say, we can type whatever we want that field to be, and we can just create it as a new custom field. And so you'll see that pull up here, custom label name and the field type. So there's a bunch of options here. You can make it a date, number, anything like that. We'll just go with our text field as well. And then you'll see those. So we'll go ahead and we'll create this contact. Once you create the contact, it is going to automatically bring you over to the contact card. And we'll cover what we see here. So first of all, obviously you'll see their name. You'll see this L right here. If you've marked them as a lead, we can always unmark them as a lead and that L will go away. Then we can also edit the contact. It's going to show us the exact same field right here. We have these 3 dots. We can go ahead and add this contact to a smart plan directly from the contact. We can change the account it's worked in. So if we are on a team, this is how you can switch the contact between your accounts. So you would just click change account and you would choose your team account here or whatever. So we currently only have 1 account, so it won't let us actually transfer those over. But then we can go ahead, we can scroll down, we'll look at this left-hand side first. So you'll see the lead source and the account. So this will have all of the contact information that we've added in. We can add neighborhoods to our contact. So we'll just click add a neighborhood. If they have an address on file, it's going to automatically pull in their neighborhood, and then you can go in and add additional neighborhoods. So adding their neighborhoods is great for a neighborhood nurture smart plan where it'll send them email updates on what's going on real estate wise in their neighborhood. So you can add as many neighborhoods as you'd like here. So go ahead, we'll say, just grab one here. So we'll start grabbing neighborhoods. And as you look at them, you'll see them start to appear on the map here. We can also click find on map. We can go control zoom, which we already selected one in Orlando. We'll keep going here. So as you zoom in, you'll see those start to appear right there, wherever there is a neighborhood. So you can grab whatever neighborhoods they are interested in, or the neighborhoods that are surrounding them. And we'll click save, and you'll see those start to appear here. Their primary neighborhood will automatically be assigned based off of the address that is on their contact. You can copy the link here to share it if you want to share the neighborhood view, but we can also preview it. Now, when you do share those links, one thing I like to point out is this one does not show up as branded. So when you click preview, this link right here also that you copy is not going to be branded. It's just going to be the KW website. What you can do here is you can go and you can just manually edit the website, and you can just type in your subdomain. So, and then enter, and then we'll see it'll update with our information, with our colors and fonts and stuff that we have on our website. It's going to go ahead and update that. So you can manually edit that, and then you can share this link right here if you want to. So that's just a quick way to update this link so it's branded to you specifically. And then you'll see again that additional contact information below. If we scroll down, you'll see those relationships as well. So we did talk about the relationships when we were entering them in. It just links it to another contact. So you'll go ahead and you can click on that, and then it will bring us to that contact we were looking at. So we'll go back here to this contact. Now on the right hand side, you are going to see a timeline right here. Here's the first thing you'll see. So you can view the activity that happened to this contact. You can view for all time, today, last 7 days, last 30 days, last 90 days, or you can set a custom amount of time if you have a specific date you're looking for. You can filter it by the type of activity. So any touches, anything that they've done like on your website, client activity and things like that. So you can go through and you can filter all of that activity. Once you have 5 things logged on here, 5 notes, activities, things like that, it's going to go ahead and it'll give you an AI summary. So we don't have enough here, so it's not going to give us a summary, but once you start adding those interactions with your contacts, you'll see those appear here. We can add an activity, and this is just making note of an activity that we've already done outside of command. So if we chose, for example, email, or text or whatever we choose here. It's not going to automatically send them an email when we add this activity. We're really just logging that we've had that interaction already. That way we know. So we'll go ahead, we'll fill that out. Say that that was our subject line. And then we can copy and paste the body of that email here, or we can just add a note. It's not huge deal. We'll just go ahead and add that as well. And we'll just click add activity. And from there, you will see it appear right here. So if you use a different email provider and you just want to track that relationship, you can add that in here and you can see. So again, once you add more, you'll see that AI summary start to appear. You'll see maybe, for example, you call frequently or you haven't called, or I guess the last time you did call, it went to voicemail or something along those lines. It's going to give you a summary of the last interactions you've had. The next tab we have is the opportunities tab. And here we can see any opportunities that are currently linked to that contact. If you do not have an opportunity linked to the contact, it'll look like this, but you can create an opportunity directly through here. And you can go through, fill that out. We do have a class that covers creating opportunities, so I'm not going to jump into that today. Smart plans right here, we can go ahead and we can add them directly to a smart plan from the contact. So you would click add to smart plan and you would choose the smart plan you wanted to add them to. So it'll tell you, for example, this one has an email step, so missing email would cause a problem there. So we can add the plan to the plan anyway. It'll just skip the email steps, or we can cancel. I'll just go ahead and cancel that one. Next, you can click tasks right here, and you'll see any tasks that are linked to your contact. So you have your tasks applet here on the left-hand side, and those tasks are going to be pulled from smart plans or opportunities, or you can just manually create tasks right there. It'll be your own internal to-do list that you can view through Command Anywhere. Next, you have your notes, and here you can add notes to your contact. You can add as many as you would like. So for example, you talk to your client, you met them in person, or you just have notes on what they're looking for with their houses or anything like that. You can add that here. And then finally, we have saved searches. So you can go in and create a saved search for the contact, and it can email them, set up that saved search directly. That covers that contact card. We're going to go back out to our contacts applet here. So then we really talked about all of our filters and things here. One thing you can also do is there's also a bulk action menu that's hidden. So you can select multiple contacts at a time. You can select up to 500. You would just toggle this down at the bottom, the part that says show. On my screen, it says 1 to 14. It'll show however many contacts you're viewing at a time, and you would just change that to 500 right there. That'll allow you to select a lot more at a time. But once you select those contacts, you can again select all, and then you can go deselect them, or you can just select multiple at a time. We can add a tag. That'll add a tag to all of the contacts at the same time. We can add all of them to a smart plan, add notes to each of them, send an email to all of them, archive all of them together, and then more options. There's a bunch more you can do here. So if you need to do an action that's applied to a bunch of contacts at a time, just start selecting them and you'll see your options start to appear here. We can go ahead, you can deselect that. And then we also have right next to the contacts, you'll see the individual 3 dots, and it'll also give you individual actions that you can take directly through here. All right, so one more thing we need to check while we're still in our contacts applet. Well, actually, we're gonna move out in just a second here. But if you click these 3 dots, we have some options here. So you can check for duplicates amongst your contacts. It's going to scan through your database, and that's going to show you, actually, I'll show you, because I think we do have some duplicates in here. But it's going to go ahead, say it's scanning for duplicates. It can take some time, and it will get a notification once it's done. It'll be done in probably just a second here. I'll probably have to refresh. But while we're right here, if you click these 3 dots, you can also export all of your contacts. So you can export all of them all together in a CSV file, or you can export mailing labels. Before you do that, you do want to make sure your KW Communications email is an email that you have access to. So to do that, you're going to click your name and drop down menu, you're going to click My Profile. And you're going to go to My KW on the left-hand side. And if you scroll down, you'll see your KW Communications email right here. When you export contacts, it's going to send a link to that email. So you'll get that appearing right there. I actually think I have a copy of what the email looks like, but basically it's going to send an email from KW to whatever email you have on file there. It'll tell you your export was successful, and then it will have a link that you can click. That link will have your file that it'll download automatically when you click the link. So you'll have 24 hours from the time you receive that email to click the link, download the file. If it's been past 24 hours, you can just click export contacts again, just redo it, and it will export those for you. Same thing there. Alrighty, so we checked for duplicates. When we click that notification bell, we'll see right here that we have 3 pairs of potential duplicates to review. So you can just click review duplicates. It'll take a second to load here. And then you can see all of those contacts here. So we can go ahead and we can select those contacts. So we can either ignore them. Maybe we don't want to merge these two. So we'll just ignore that. And we can ignore this one. And then if we wanted to merge this one, then it's going to allow you to select the primary contact to keep. So we'll keep this one. It has more information on it. One thing you do want to note about this is it will tell you automatically if it can't, if one of the, for example, this one is merging, the one all lowercase is being merged into this one right here that has the green tag next to it. So when it merges, it's not able to merge opportunities and smart plans and things like that. So if you have opportunities or smart plans connected to a contact, it's automatically going to mark that as the contact that you're keeping. So it'll merge the other contact with the one that already has opportunities or smart plans connected there. So we can go ahead, we'll just click continue. It'll merge those for us. So we'll merge and delete, and it'll tell us we have no potential duplicates anymore. So next thing I want to look at real quick is some back end settings we do have here. So we're going to go to the drop down menu under our name, and we're going to click settings. So there's a couple things. We're going to go to our command settings, and under contacts, we have our contact archive. So when you are looking to delete your contacts, it is always going to be a 2-step process. You'll have to archive them first and then delete them from the archive. It just saves you some trouble of accidentally deleting the wrong contact, because once they have been completely deleted, there's no way of restoring the contact. So it's kind of 2-step to add you a safety buffer there. So you'll see those contacts here, and then you would be able to delete or restore them further. Database wipe, you have the option to archive all of your contacts, and then you can delete all of your archived contacts. You do obviously want to be careful when it comes to deleting and archiving all of your contacts. If you are deleting your database, wiping your database completely, we do strongly recommend that you export your contacts first, just so that you can make sure you have a copy of that data should something go wrong, should you need that information again. So we definitely recommend exporting them before you wipe it out completely. Next, we have our contact set tags settings. We can go in and we can create new tags, we can edit existing tags, or you can delete existing tags. Any that are created by the system, we do not have the option to edit, so that one's going to be grayed out here. But any that it shows that we created, we can either edit right here, we can change the color for our tag or the name there, and so we'll see that updated there, or we can delete the tag altogether. We can also create individual tags through here if we wanted to, and they'll appear here. We can also create those tags when we are adding those contacts as well. Lead management, you can go in and you can set up rules when a lead comes in, if it's added to a smart plan, if it's automatically tagged, or things like that. We do have a class that covers these lead management rules as well, if you're interested in that. Then we have lead sources. And that's going to show you all of the sources, which we were looking at earlier when we were looking at creating a contact. It's going to show you all of the options for lead sources here. Again, anything created by the system cannot be edited or deleted, but any that are created by you can be edited or deleted. We also have database cleanup here, which is what we were just looking at with merging those duplicates. We can also view our merge history, and we can see the contacts that we merged already. And we have custom fields. This is where we can go in and we can create new custom fields, or we can delete existing ones, or we can edit existing ones. So we can change the field type. We can set it as a default custom field, which means it will automatically show up on all of our contacts when we go to create them. So we'll go ahead and mark that as default, and you can see those sorted right here. One last thing you'll want to check here is down here, you'll click My Logs, and this is going to show your import and export logs. So if we click Imports right here, it's going to show you all of those imports that you've completed previously. So you'll see the status, the date it was started and completed, the number of contacts imported, and the number of contacts that failed on that import, if any did. So we looked at this one already with that file earlier when we tried to import it, and it failed because of the fake number. But you can see that it shows us right here that one contact failed. If you use this bar and scroll all the way over, it'll give you that error file that you saw in your notification. So you don't have to go try to find the red notification or anything like that. You can go to your error file right here and just download it for any of the imports you've done. You can also download the original file for any of those imports as well. And then you have export logs. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to tell you when the contact exports were started and completed, how many contacts were exported, and the type of export. So that is really all we have for our database overview. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and get to those. If you are not sticking around for questions, no worries at all. I hope you have a fantastic day and a fantastic rest of your week.